to Quick Segments with Kristen. Today, I just want to talk about reflection. In a couple of weeks, I will be turning 45, and I've really have had a lot of time to reflect over the last 44 years of my life, particularly the last 2 to 3 years that have been, a little bit challenging and rough. Um, but reflection, when you take the time to reflect, you take the time to process your emotions, process, things that you can change, things that you can learn about yourself. And reflection is something that I do every night. Every night before I go to bed, I sit and I reflect on the day. I think about all of the good things that happened that day, all of the bad things that happened. If there was something that I could have did better, something I could have, if I had the opportunity to do it again, would I do it differently? And sometimes I find that um, there was nothing I could do different, right? Sometimes there's nothing you can do different, but being able to sit in your feelings for a moment, you know. And when I say in your feelings, I don't mean you're acting out of your feelings per se, but just sit and process. This did not make me happy. Let me think about that. Let me feel how this particular situation made me feel. Let me feel that. Let me really feel that in the moment. And then what could I have done better? What if I was to experience this again, how would I handle the situation next time? So that's what I do every night. And I journal and I process, and I do this every night. But at the end of the year, I start thinking about, really around the holidays, November rolls around, I start reflecting over the entire year. And as I reflect over the entire year, I I want to know where God has brought me from. How I started, how I finished, and what I've learned in the middle. And I think that's really important because a lot of times we're on the go, we're always moving, and we don't take the time to actually process the moment and feel what we're supposed to feel in that moment. And it doesn't give us an opportunity to grow. And it's so important to grow. It's so important to grow from one phase to another and think about how you have grown instead of just being in such a hurry to move on to the next thing. And women, we kind of have that really bad. We don't even celebrate our successes because, it's like, okay, we did this great thing, let's move on. And sometimes society teaches us not to appreciate that moment. Oh, well, that's in the past now. It's just time to move on. No, let's just stop there and let's just, before we move on to the next thing, let's really appreciate, this thing that we just accomplished. And it's nothing wrong with that. And I'm finding that in my life now. I think I have been sort of, I accomplished something and then I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And I'm in a space right now where I'm like, no, I want to take a step back. Okay, it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to think about what I want to do next, but not be in a hurry to do those things. To really just have quiet time. Right now, having quiet time is so vital and important to me. And it's something that I am having to learn. Solitude. I'm having to just kind of stay in that moment for a while. I don't want to do anything. I want to stay right here and process and not be in such a hurry to move on to the next thing. But I never would even think that way if I didn't take the time to reflect And this is why reflecting is important. Reflecting is important so that you can process where you are. And before you move on to the next thing, you may need to stop and even wonder, should I move on to the next thing right now? Does God want me to move on to the next thing right now? Maybe not. Maybe you need to just sit in solitude for a moment before you move on to the next thing. And that's what reflection will allow you to do. Reflection allows you to process. I hope you enjoyed this segment. Again, this segment will be on Instagram and Facebook, but you can watch the entire segment on Kristen Mary Brand on my YouTube channel. Godspeed.